College Football just dropped its Dynasty Mode deep dive, and I think they might have just restored Dynasty Mode back to its glory days. In today's video, guys, I am breaking down the 20 new features that are receiving major changes that should only get you excited for Dynasty Mode. From coaching customization to the trophy room you've heard a lot of noise about, to recruiting improvements, and one of my favorite, the team builder upgrade. In today's video, guys, I'm going to break it all down, and make sure you stick around for the end because that team builder upgrade is huge, and it's something that should be a lot easier to take advantage of this year. First for me on the list is the coaching swag upgrade. Guys, I love the fact that we can now customize our coaches to make them look a little cooler. I asked for this back when I made a college football wish list. I wish there was more customization for your coach to really make you, dive into that journey as you build your guy. Now you have more autonomy of how this guy's gonna look, to the point that you can now have Biff Poggi's cut off no sleeve shirt that has an actual V cut in a normal t-shirt. The level of detail that they went to get that in the game is awesome. That's something I'm really excited about. Just to, when you build your own dynasty, you're really owning what your coach looks like and what his schemes are, and just adding the added detail to that part of the game. Number 2 is the portal customization. So the portal customization had an overhaul, and now you're gonna have over 2,000 players in the portal, which is a lot more than what you used to have in the past. So now you can truly build teams through the portal. So if you're in a dynasty mode and you want to challenge yourself to only build through the transfer portal, it's very much possible that you can do that now. I know a lot of schools are doing that in today's world. They're still trying to recruit the really good freshmen, but let's be real, in today's world, if they're not playing right away, they're probably not going to be good to stick around for much time, especially if they have really good transfer portal kids coming in. I know Dabo Swinney was one that was not going to go to the transfer portal, he said, until he finally cracked this year. And it's actually good that you can actually build programs through the transfer portal alone, which I absolutely love. Number 3, guys, is evolving expectations. I think this is huge for the game. If you have not looked into that, guys, evolving expectations is the part where players are now, like, even if they came in as a 3-star and they didn't really care about their facilities, but now they become an All-American and they're being offered in really nice facilities like at Georgia or some other 5-star program like that that you can't compete with, they're gonna start expecting that stuff. So even if he came in and let's say he's playing for like a small school like New Mexico or something, and he becomes an All-American because of his stats, he's gonna start requesting better facilities. He's gonna all of a sudden want coaching prestige. He's also gonna want, the chemistry with his teammates. He's gonna want a better quarterback. He's gonna expect a lot more because he's also that caliber of player, which I think is really realistic. How often do you see guys come in, they're humble and young, and then they get the attention and the hype because they play really well, and then they leave a program. Didn't work so well for DJ Ungalalele, so.
Got him!
Number 4 is the trophy room. Apparently there's a ton of trophies that you can now get in the game. However, I did learn one thing over this past weekend, that it's all the trophy rooms are going to be particular to each coach. So as you build a new dynasty coach, you can have a ton of Heismans in that trophy room. You can have try to get all the trophies in one coach's lifespan, which I'm probably going to try to do, which is going to be crazy. However, if you start a new coach, you're not going to have the same trophies passed over. So if you want to get every single trophy, I don't know if that's going to be possible. I don't know if you're going to get it as a coordinator. So if you start a journey as a coordinator, then you start off as a coach and you're in a bunch of different rivalry games and a bunch of different conferences, I don't know if that's going to carry over, or I don't know if the trophies are going to be particular to only your head coaching programs. But that is something that people are very, very excited for, and at least another added token that you can now collect in the game. And before we jump into the next feature, guys, I just wanted to remind you that I am on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and the moment that we hit 5K subs, I'm going to be giving away a copy of EA College Football. If every person that liked this video and commented down below subscribe to the channel, we would be there in no time, and I'd be giving away a copy before even the drop of the game. So if you could do that, guys, it would help out the channel a lot. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's get to the rest of these features. Number 5, guys, there is a coaching level cap, and it's been increased from 50 to 100. So now you can get even more stuff in terms of your coaching progression. However, if you start at a certain archetype as a coach, whether you're a recruiter, a motivator, or a tactician, it's going to be a lot cheaper if it goes within the tree that you've already kind of pre-selected before you started your coach. It's going to be cheaper for those coaching points to get used up in that category, and it's going to be more expensive if, let's say, you're a tactician but you want to get some motivator points. It's going to be more expensive to do that. So you got to be very tactical and skillful on how you're going to use your coaching points. Again, I don't think you can max out a coach, so that's another interesting thing, despite going to level 100 in the level cap for the coaches. Number 6, guys, is the coach archetypes. Obviously, we talked a little bit about that just now, but there are going to be archetypes now for assistants, and there's going to be 3 different tiers for those, as they made it a point in last year's game to make sure that your assistants complement some of your skill sets if you want to have a full complete roster. This year they're adding more to that skill set, so making sure that your actual assistants counter some of your strengths is going to be very, very key when building a program. Another one is location-based recruiting, which is going to affect a lot of the smaller schools, like in real football, which I kind of like this realism aspect of it. Just in this case, I don't think the whole game has to be super realistic, but in this case I really like it. So if you're a smaller school, you already have a small amount of hours to use use to recruit players as it is, plus you're under, you know, underwhelming facilities and all the other stuff that is underwhelming compared to like a Power 5 school like a Georgia or a Texas. Having location base is going to be very important to scheduling visits. Scheduling visits is now based on how close a player is to you. So if he's really close to you, it's going to be like 10 hours used up in a week versus 40, 50, however far away the player is. And for bigger schools like Georgia, Texas, they have a ton of hours to give. In real life, they have a ton of money to give, so they can hop on a jet and go recruit a guy like in the Bay Area. Whereas if you're San Jose State, you don't really have a plane or a jet to hop in every single week to go recruit guys in Texas or Georgia, unless they're a pipeline state and you have guys in that area. So that aspect of recruiting becomes very realistic, and I think is very intriguing for, you know, the way we're going to recruit in this game, especially if you're a smaller school, which I think is really cool. Another thing, there's some slight subtleties in the UI change for the recruiting system, and I think they're just cool, and I think it makes it a lot clearer and a lot easier to navigate the recruiting UI. So I'm excited about that as well, and I will be doing a breakdown on all of the recruiting basics. I didn't make a video on that last year, but I'm very excited to make one this year about how to recruit and make sure that you get the best recruits on your team, whether you're at a small school, and if you're at a big school, well, you shouldn't struggle, and if you do, well, you need to look at a beginner's guide or something that I will also be making. So ensure that you like this video and subscribe to the channel for those videos down the road. Number 8, guys, is recruiting improvements in terms of understanding why you lost a player. So last year we had a lot of competition between, like, you know, you were going to the finish line for recruits and you didn't really know why he picked one school over the other. Now we're gonna get more feedback on that, and you're gonna know whether it was a facility thing. Allegedly, according to the deep dive, we're gonna know what was the reason that they didn't choose us, and at least maybe that's something that we can try to look at fixing. And I don't know how that stuff gets fixed. I didn't really have super long dynasties. Let me know down in the comments if you guys did really long dynasties. But for example, if you were at a smaller school, I never realized, I never maybe took the chance to learn if the facilities changed if you were at a small school. I don't think they did. I know championship contender changed once you were competing for championships, but let me know down in the comments if everything else changed, as you know, correlated with how good the program was doing. I don't recall, but point being, at least now you'll know why you're losing recruits along the way. And I think that little piece of feedback is going to be huge, at least to add more realism to the game and not just, you know, seeing guys not pick you or pick you at the end of the day. Number 9 is training results. I love the fact that at the end of each season, now we're going to get to see exactly in what categories guys are improving. It also is going to tell you what their dev trait is, so you don't have to do a lot of digging for that kind of information. As you can see on here, they're looking over the Texas State Bobcats, and you can see every single area where a guy improved. And I think that in and of itself is huge. Last year, we were just kind of like, oh, his overall went up, I guess, and we didn't really know why or in what areas. Now we have a detailed description of what areas are going up in, and I think that little change is also huge. Number 10 is not really a big point, but holy cow, it's just looking at Jeremiah Smith. Look at all the freaking different abilities that Jeremiah Smith has. Dude is a 99 overall, and he's got like everything that's gold and platinum. Or is that purple? I'm not sure. But the dude is cracked. Ryan Williams is one of the best players in the country. And his card and his abilities look so humble compared to freaking Jeremiah Smith, who's got everything out of gold or platinum, which is insane. I mean, the difference is 2 overalls, but man, Jeremiah Smith looks 9 days better than Ryan Williams, and I don't think that's the case, especially when they're both sharing the cover. I mean, I don't know, that's just crazy to me. That Jeremiah Smith looks freaking cracked, and I wonder how broken he's gonna be if you play him like Road to the College Football Playoff or some sort of online head-to-head format where you have like a normal team versus a normal player. I mean, Ultimate Team, it might be easier when you have 2 99s going up against each other, but a 99 Jeremiah Smith going up against like a normal like 86 corner, God, that dude's gonna be unbelievable on online head-to-head. Number 11 is wear and tear, and if you haven't heard, guys, wear and tear is, I broke that down a little bit in the gameplay deep dive, so if you want to check that out after this video, that's fine. But essentially now there's going to be season-long wear and tear, and then there's going to be career wear and tear, whatever that means. So if you're not giving your players enough time to recover, they can essentially be out for the rest of the season because they're not going to be able to recover in time until the off season when they'll have full recovery time. So, and if you don't like it, guys, there is really cool settings that can be adjusted. That could be position based, that can be overall. I mean, there's a lot of cool changes that you can make to the wear and tear. So make sure that you know a little bit about those when you dive in before creating your dynasty. But to handle the wear and tear, which I absolutely love, is an auto sub strategy. So you can go in there and you can create sort of wear and tear you want for your player. There's 4 different categories. There's keep them fresh, normal, grind it out, or custom. And you can basically tailor however you want that wear and tear system to be for each position. So let's say, for example, your quarterback should never go out. And I'm looking at you, Anthony Richardson. Freaking dude sucked. I can't believe he tapped himself out in a freaking NFL game. Like, how come no one ever told them that? Like, kids in high school know that. It's like an unwritten rule, but whatever. I've digressed. Literally, if you want the quarterback to stay in, you're gonna make him grind it out, right? So you'd have the grind it out category. Like, this dude's not gonna get off the fucking field unless he's like hurt. Whereas a running back, it's like, okay, once he starts getting a little tired, let's get him out, let's get him subbed out, because we don't want our workhorse to get just beaten to death and then not like play like they do in the NFL for most running backs after 4 years, you know? Make sure you take care of your guys. You can do it categorically, right? So if, you know, D ends, you want a bunch of different fast guys just beating up their line, that's fine, because line is another position where you might not want guys to get subbed out as much. That could affect things. You know, you have a couple receivers running a ton of go routes, maybe you replace him. So that auto sub strategy is going to be huge to managing that wear and tear. And especially if you do it tactically, maybe you don't have to think about it, but I'd be excited to see how that's just going to work like on an online dynasty. Like, how much could it affect it if I'm better at managing my wear and tear throughout the season versus a guy that's not? And obviously the commissioner is going to decide that. The commissioner can also have to decide to take wear and tear off, which I think would be stupid, because I think managing the players is now another added chess match to the game. Number 13 is one that pains me when I broke this down, but it's formation subs. And in this one, they use my boy Zachariah Branch, that is no longer at USC and he's now at Georgia. But now you can have specific subs for specific formations. So if you want to take your time and you're like, wow, I really love this certain play, but I love going to the slot guy, but I just wish my slot guy was Zachariah Branch every time and didn't have to manually change him when I'm in the game, you can now do it in the menu, but throughout the season, so you don't have to dive into it during the game or make it a manual sub. You can now do it specifically for each sub, which I think I'm gonna take a big advantage of, because quite honestly, I'm thinking about a lot of different things while I'm playing in the game. So doing it within the game, I sometimes just, you know, panic a little bit. I just keep playing versus doing it outside of the game, which I think could help me a lot. So I'm very excited about that as well. College history has been completely revamped in this game, and from what I understand, the announcers also know a little bit more about it, back to when Yale won the first national championship. So now we know every single champion, every single team that's been in the past. They've done a lot of different stats for Heisman winners, things like that. And to go along with the history, they've also revamped a lot of the awards. All of the 14 authentic awards at the end of the season are now in the game. So like the Maxwell Award is in, the Walter Camp Award is in. Like, this is very exciting stuff that they also got the licensing rights for this kind of stuff. So that's another big W for the game, to just add a little bit more of authenticity, plus all the history of the games, you know, who ended up winning the conference championship. There was a couple things that we got to see: conference championships, national championships, and then with the scores of those games as well, with the winning head coach. Like, all these details are super freaking cool, especially if you're like a football junkie and you just like to nerd out about certain things. I think these are great changes. That on top of the awards that got changed, love it. There's a ton of more stats that are taken into account. So like touchdown percentage, sack rate, interception percentage, touchdown interception ratio, which is a thing that a lot of people talk about, net yards per attempt, I don't even know what that means, fumble rate, touchback percentage for a punter, total yards per game for the offense, defense. You know, there's a ton of stats that are getting accounted for, which I absolutely love, because now you can compare those to past teams that you've had and just see how you're performing on a year-to-year basis, which I think is huge, especially when you're building on Dynasty, like trying to compare your team. Like, oh, I wonder how this team is doing compared to the team that I built last year. So that's awesome. I love that. I love it, especially for those football junkies that are stat nerds as well. Come on, like, how can you not love that if you just want to get in here and just learn more about the game? That's one thing I think MLB The Show does very well, is just having all those stats and numbers and learning about like just the game of baseball through their video game. So love that for EA College Football as well. Number 16 is a couple of positional changes. So defensive ends are now called edge rushers, and outside linebackers are now going to be called Sam or Will, which I think is very realistic to football. So if you don't know that now, you're learning a lot more about football. And then the Mike as well as the middle linebacker. So now you got the Mike, Sam, and Will, and you got edge rushers, which I think is really cool. You also have gadget guys for long snapping if you want to do like trick plays, which I also think is really cool. So a couple different positional changes just to get used to with that on, and just so you have a heads up going into the game. Number 17 is pretty easy, and that's crossplay. Crossplay is now enabled, so now you can play across platforms, which should add the player base count to a lot more, especially when you're playing like online head-to-head. I know I had trouble when I was doing Road to the College Football Playoff, and I specifically wanted to play with a tier 5 team, but somehow that always got bumped up because some dude wanted to play with Ohio State. So that, I know they fixed that they tried to fix that about halfway through the year. I never really felt it stay legit. Like, I rarely played tier 3s if I want to stay in tier 3, or I rarely played tier 4s if I want to stay in tier 4. So hopefully that helps with that. Also, Ultimate Team just got a lot more sweaty, so can't wait for that. But Dynasty mode should allow itself to be more friendly, especially if you have a bunch of friends that all have different kinds of platforms. So that's exciting as well. Number 18, very quick, it's the dynamic lighting. So if you start a game at 5 o'clock, by the time that game hits nighttime, it's going to be sort of dark, but that's also going to depend on the time of the season. So at the beginning of the season, 8 o'clock may not be that dark in, you know, Wisconsin, but 8 o'clock in the winter is going to get really, really dark. It might be even dark by like 7 o'clock. So I love that they did that. Those changes are awesome, but there is one thing that they did not add, and that's the dynamic weather to your local time, which I don't know how hard that might be in today's world, but I feel like that was one of the coolest things that they used to be able to do in NCAA. Still not in this game. That's fine. Move on to the next one. Number 19 is the changes to the college football playoff. Obviously, the top 4 teams are now going to be some of the best 4 teams in the country, but not necessarily all conference winners. I think that was a decision based on last year that the top 4 teams are going to be conference winners. Now, the top Power 4 champions are going to be in the football playoff, and the best group of 5 team conference champion is going to be in the college football playoff, but it doesn't automatically mean the top 4 teams are conference champions, if I'm correct. So we're going to be able to experience that before the real world college football playoff sees how that plays out. So I'm excited about that as well. And finally, but certainly not least, guys, it is Team Builder, and Team Builder is crazy. It's no longer in beta. It's now a full-fledged Team Builder. So things that they've changed, the website's a lot more faster. All the stuff from college football 25 can easily be crossed over into 26. So it's all already there. So if people have created teams in the past, you can certainly go in there and use those as well. This is a great thing if you want to customize your own team, customize your own players, create your own players at a very high scale. Because if you're going through and trying to create a team within the game, that is next, well, 1, you can't just create a team. 2, changing names and changing crap like that is almost next to impossible. So doing that online is so good, and apparently the website's a lot faster. The enhanced editing's a lot faster. You can now do red shirts, edit high school ratings, bios, appearance, skill ratings, abilities. You can literally fully fledged build out existing teams, but the thing I want to use it most for is probably the historic teams. I'm either going to go try to find historic teams that people have created, or I'm going to go in and create historic teams. I think that's the best use for it, and apparently EA College Football doesn't want you to do it. But and at the end of this, guys, they also dropped the toughest place to play. I mean, Tiger Stadium and Beaver Stadium are 1-2. I mean, there's no question there. Wisconsin got a nice shout out at 15, so shout out to that. They still haven't talked about jump around, so I'm very curious to see about that one. If anybody knows the answer down below, let me know. The only one I disagreed with on this list is maybe Kyle Field at 11, the 12th man, but you know, I mean, all those teams at the top 5 are pretty solid, so you can't argue with that. And don't forget, guys, comment down below which feature are you most excited about and what team are you rebuilding first in EA College Football 26, so you can get entered in a chance to win that free copy of EA College Football 26. And remember, boys, nice guys finish first, and God bless. Peace.